If you've been thinking about moving to Florida and one of the reasons is the tax benefits, I need you to watch this entire video right now because the Florida Legislature just passed a constitutional amendment that could dramatically reduce or even eliminate property taxes for Florida homeowners. And there's a hard deadline that could determine whether you benefit from day one or have to wait up to 5 years. I'm Amanda Sweetz, Realtor with Keller Realty of the Palm Beaches, and I specialize in relocation to North Palm Beach County, Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, Juno Beach, North Palm Beach, Singer Island, and the surrounding areas. And I was one of the first agents in this area to cover this information when it broke on June 2nd. So let me walk you through exactly what this means and what you need to do if you're considering a move. On June 2nd, 2026, the Florida Legislature concluded a special session and voted to place what they're calling the Save Our Homes from Excessive Property Taxes Amendment on the November 3rd ballot. The House passed it 75-26. The Senate passed it 30-9. Both cleared the required 3/5 supermajority. Now, and this is important, this is not yet law. Florida voters still have to approve it by 60% in November for it to take effect. But the legislative hurdle, which is historically the harder one, is already cleared. Polling and early sentiment suggests strong voter support, so I want you to be prepared now, not after November when the window may already be closing. Let me break down what this amendment actually changes, because there's a lot of noise out there and I want to give you the real numbers. Right now, Florida's homestead exemption is $50,000. That's the amount of your home's assessed value that is exempt from most local property taxes. If this amendment passes, in 2027, that exemption jumps to $150,000. In 2028, it increases again to $250,000. And the legislature is directed to create a schedule for full elimination of homestead property taxes over time. We don't have that timeline yet, but the direction is clear. There's also a change for investment properties and second homes. Right now, non-homestead properties, rental properties, vacation homes, commercial real estate, those can see their assessed value increase up to 10% per year. But under this amendment, that cap drops to 5% starting in 2027. That's a meaningful cost predictability for investors and landlords. One important note, the big homestead exemption increase only applies to your primary residence. If you're a snowbird who hasn't established Florida domicile, you won't benefit from the exemption increase, only the reduced assessment cap. Here's the piece that most coverage is either burying or missing entirely. The amendment includes a 5-year residency requirement for new Florida residents, but only those who establish residency after January 1st, 2027. Let me say that again clearly. If you establish Florida residency before January 1st, 2027, you qualify for the full enhanced homestead exemption from day one. No waiting period. If you establish residency after January 1st, 2027, new residents must maintain Florida residency for up to 5 years before assessing the full benefit. So, what does that mean in real terms? If you close on a home and establish residency in, say, September 2026, you lock in the full exemption starting January 2027 if it passes. If you make the exact same move in March 2027, you begin a multi-year phase-in. The gap between those two scenarios could be tens of thousands of dollars. Let's put the timeline together because this creates a very specific window. November 3, 2026, Florida voters decide. It needs 60% to pass. January 1, 27. If it passes, two things happen simultaneously. The $150,000 exemption takes effect for existing homeowners and everyone who establishes residency before the deadline. The 5-year wait begins for anyone who establishes residency after this date. January 1, 2028, the exemption increases to $250,000. So the window to act, if this passes, is the second half of 2026. If you're seriously considering a move to Florida, the question to ask yourself is this: would I rather close before January 1st and lock in immediate benefits, or wait until 2027 and potentially wait 5 years for the full exemption? For a lot of people weighing this decision, that math makes the choice easier. Quick note: if you're already a Florida homeowner with your homestead exemption established, you're not subject to any waiting period. If the amendment passes in November, your exemption automatically increases to $150,000 on January 1, 2027. You don't have to do anything. In 2028, it goes up to $250,000. Your school district taxes are not affected by this. School levies are excluded from the exemption under the amendment. I want to be fair and give you the full picture because this amendment isn't without controversy. Legislative staff estimate the amendment would reduce non-school local government revenue by between $4.6 billion and $8.4 billion annually. The Florida Association of Counties estimates $3.6 billion hit to county budgets in the first year alone, rising to over $6 billion by 2028 to 2029. There's currently no dedicated state funding mechanism to backfill those losses. How individual counties and cities respond, whether through fee adjustments, service reductions, or millage rate increases on remaining taxable properties will vary. It's worth following Palm Beach County's response specifically as November approaches. Critics, including the Florida League of Cities and the Florida Association of Counties, has raised concerns that costs could shift to landlords and businesses and potentially flow through to renters. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm here to make sure that you understand what's at stake and whether the timeline means for your situation. If you're considering relocating to this area, Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, Juno Beach, North Palm Beach, or Singer Island, this amendment adds a meaningful financial layer to your decision and your timing. The combination of no state income tax, which Florida already has, and potentially a dramatically reduced or eliminated property tax on your primary residence, that's a financial picture that's hard to find anywhere else in the country at this price point. Now, at the January 1, 2027 deadline, and if you are already planning a move in the next 12 to 18 months, the question becomes, does it make sense to accelerate that timeline? That's a deeply personal decision that depends on your job, your family, your finances, and what's happening in your current market. But it's a conversation worth having sooner rather than later. Here's the bottom line. The Florida Property Tax Amendment passed the legislature on June 2nd, 2026. Voters decide on November 3rd. If it passes, anyone who establishes Florida residency before January 1, 2027 qualifies for the full enhanced exemption from day one. After that date, new residents face up to a 5-year wait. I've put together a full written breakdown of everything I've covered today: the numbers, the timeline, what it means for homeowners and investors and relocators, and I'll link that in the description below. If you're thinking about making a move to North Palm Beach County and you want to talk through what this means for you, for your specific situation, I offer a free relocation strategy call and I'd love to connect. That link is in the description too. If this video was helpful, please hit like and subscribe. I cover the North Palm Beach County market, new construction, relocation, and everything in between. And I'd love to have you along. I'm Amanda Sweetz, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself and remember, your next chapter is your best.